Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.
Oh, you already poured me a drink there, Tyler. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, we have a guest on the podcast. Thanks for coming on. This is episode 101, by the way. We just had our 100th episode celebration last week where we each took 100 shots and then passed out. And then we just woke up an hour ago, actually. That was a week and a half ago we recorded. But we haven't done a...
we didn't record all the shots, though, obviously.
Yeah,
would have taken too long.
Yeah, so we haven't done a recording... or an interview or a guest spot, let's say. This isn't really an interview show, but we haven't done an interview since episode 10 over Zoom. And since then, we have mics now and other systems. So hopefully this looks a little bit and sounds a little bit better than last time. But
yeah, no shit.
our guest today is illustrious American hip hop artist DayDay of the group Dead Presidents Click, who is personally my 24th favorite rapper. So
I'm still top 50, bro.
Thanks for coming on the show, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, man. Pleasure to be here. I've actually been hoping you'd ask for a while.
I literally, because I don't have New Year's resolutions, but one of the things I wanted to do with the podcast this year, especially after episode 100, I'm I want to get more serious about it. And I'm we need to do more collabs, not even interviews, but more just kind of introduce each other to other people's audience, right? So yeah. I texted you at drunk, I think, and I started the text by being I already know what your answer is going to be, but do you want to come on the podcast at some point? So
it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I already know your answer. But do you want to be on the podcast? Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah, you're one of the guys that I can text when I'm drunk at night and everyone else is asleep, and you'll respond usually.
Yeah. Yeah, insomnia will keep you awake for, those late hours to be reachable.
So I know virtually nothing about you, DayDay. And I came into the total occult, which is great. It's often the best way to do interview podcasts like this. So obviously you're in music. What else do you do? What keeps you busy besides staying up at night and being an insomniac like Willows?
Honestly, if I'm not making music, then I won't lie. If I'm not working, then I'm playing video games.
Yeah.
I have loved video games since I was 6, 7 years old, and I just am unnaturally good, not to toot my own horn or anything, but at any game I pick up. So it just came natural to me, and it's pretty much my escape outside of music.
Nice. I'm friends with one other hip hop artist, and he's also preternaturally talented at video games. Yeah, Fortnite
comes with the territory, I guess.
Yeah, is that a thing? Should we investigate this?
Yeah, Fortnite, League of Legends, and
Scientific
NHL. I think he's ranked top 3 globally in NHL. Whenever he plays, he's just a fucking freak at it.
Didn't YBN? That was an Xbox clan, right?
YBN, I think so.
Corday
and then
Namir.
Yeah, I think they all met on Xbox.
Yeah, so maybe there is a pipeline here from
probably
professional video game player to hip hop artist,
or the other way around.
We should do some investigation about that.
Yeah, actually, I think that would honestly, if IGN picked up a study like that, I think that would be an actual viral scientific study.
Okay, they better cite this fucking episode.
Yeah, give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, we started this thought down the rabbit hole. So yeah, I know Tyler actually has a weird. He was very, very good friends with a hip hop artist up here, and actually did a tour. An intent, 300 tours in a year or something insane?
No, we did 220 shows in a year.
And, oh wow!
Yeah,
and he was part of the road crew, so he was sitting in the.
I was
the van.
I was the road manager, I guess, and I actually funded the thing and went on tour for over 2 years. Probably was 18 months was on tour. It was a lot of fun.
Oh man!
Yeah,
that sounds incredible.
Yeah, just doing schools and community centers and shit. Just nothing big, just small stuff, community outreach work, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got to see a lot of Canada and mostly a lot of the reserves. He was an Aboriginal artist, so it was a pretty cool experience. And I would do the sound production setup and all the kind of bullshit behind the scenes.
That's actually really cool. You and I might have to get together after the show or something.
Yeah, I'm in construction now, so that's a fair bit
I'm
more
a roofer
lucrative
in
than
the
music.
summer. Yeah, it's yeah, construction is where the good stuff's at.
Especially in Canada. Like if you want to make money in music, you got to go to the States, really.
Yeah, I've noticed that for pretty much like even UK artists, like
Yeah.
if they could get a market in the United States, then
Yeah.
automatically their career's already doing 10 times better than they were before.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I don't think Drake sleeps at his Toronto house much. Like,
Yeah, I don't think
pretty
so
sure he's in
either.
LA permanently. So
Yeah.
yeah. So it's
Don't mind, my girl's just gonna be walking behind me.
no problem. The production value on this podcast is not
Really high.
really high. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like I want to tell the story of how we met because I think it's not a wild story, but every time I tell it, people are like, "Wait, what did you do?" So
Yeah, dude.
we actually met during you were running a meme Facebook page.
Yep, I was an admin on one of those pages, and I think I messaged you because I think you posted something related to ICP at the time,
Yeah,
and like you posted a comment about it.
we were probably like what? I was probably like 15.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're like what, a year younger than me?
Yeah, I was about 14 because I was still in high school.
Yeah, because so was I
Yeah.
remember. And then I'd posted some like some inside joke about the Insane Clown Posse, who I liked at the time. And you were like, "Oh, this guy seems kind of cool. He gets this inside joke." And you like DM me from your personal account, being like, "Hey, I'm actually the admin of this page." So that was weird. And then I guess we just stayed in touch over the years, and then we were in a pyramid scheme together.
Yes, Vima.
Were you guys
Vima.
actually like connected within Vimo, or were you just both coincidentally in
No,
it?
no, no, I like recruited him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
dope.
he recruited me into it. Like,
Yeah.
I was in it too.
That's where I first saw Willow's hustle, like
Yeah.
hard. That's
That's-
where I saw his drive.
But I was also like, now looking back, I'm like, oh, we were underage kids. Like I was 15 or 16 when I joined, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I was completely getting manipulated by adults, but that's fine.
Yeah, but a multi-million-dollar company. It's whatever.
It's fine.
So, and then that's how we became like closer because we like worked together basically. And then, yeah, that one time happened where you're like, let's go. I'm like, does anyone want to hang out? And you're like, yeah, me. And then I look at Zach and I'm like, are we going to drive down to Wyoming? And he's like, yeah, sure. So we literally like 4 hours later, we're fucking driving down to Wyoming. And then I arrive and you're like, I walk in your door. You're like, hey, what's up, man? By the way, we're going to my mother's funeral right now. So if you want to jump in the car and come with us.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I can honestly say, like, you're one of the realists for like coming down and going through that with me. Like, and I appreciate you more than you could ever know for not just being like, what the hell did I get myself into, bro?
Oh,
I mean, the guy that just drove down there, he's gonna roll with it.
Yeah, I kind of
Yeah,
like,
dude, he just
that's kind of what I do is just roll. And like that, it ended up being a great trip because we
Yeah.
were just fucking like rolling with the punches. And then I
yeah,
remember,
like going out and climbing in your dress shoes and everything, going
Yeah,
up the side of a mountain.
yeah, he takes me fucking rock climbing in rural Wyoming, and it's like literally mountains like straight up, and I only have one pair of dress shoes that I'm wearing. So I start climbing, and then like he's in front of me, I'm climbing. Zach fucked off because like there's no way I'm fucking doing that, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So we're climbing, and I just hear like rock, and I'm like, what? And I look, and a rock just fucking like falls right by my head. And it's like, oh, all right. Yeah, and I remember cliff jumping off into the reservoir or whatever.
Yeah, actually, fun fact about that reservoir we're talking about. Underneath it, I don't know if I told you this, but underneath it is the old town of Cody, Wyoming. So, like, if you go
Oh.
scuba diving down there, you
Yeah.
can actually see the old buildings and stuff underneath the reservoir.
Those are so cool. They just like fucking flood the whole town. Everybody's gotta move.
Yeah, they flooded it and moved it to the other side of the valley.
Yeah. There's some lakes in I guess around Colorado, like not Lake Tahoe. Maybe it's one of the big lakes that like feeds all the a number of states with their natural water, or the drinking water. Sorry, they had done the same thing. They like flooded the town, but now that the lake levels are dropping so much, just because it's been 10 years of drought, some of chunks of the town are just becoming visible, and they're just like finding bodies and trucks and buildings and stuff are just like all becoming visible now because this reservoir is drying the fuck up. So it's like that's gonna be a weird day when like all of a sudden Cody's like visible again. You can like go for a walk down the street.
Yeah, could you imagine? Like, because it's like the Wild West. Like
Yeah.
the world's first rodeo was in that town.
That's wild.
Cody,
Like-
Wyoming is named after Buffalo Bill Cody.
Yeah,
Like,
That's so sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then like
and then
yeah, like you
Go
go in
ahead.
and there's a statue of him, and I was like, oh, they just like really like Buffalo Bill, and then we Google it, and it's like, oh no, he founded the town. He like sat down and built a house and was like, this is my town, and then like yeah, it's
That's pretty good.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the Irma Hotel was named after his daughter, and that thing is still like standing from when he built it, like back in
Nice.
the day. And then actually his grandson still lived in the town down the street from me when I was growing up, and then he coincidentally died in a plane crash.
Interesting.
So like right after building a multi-million-dollar hotel in Cody, like a
suspicious.
week later. Yeah, like
So yeah, it was an interesting trip. I remember, and this was pre Shrugging Doctor's opening, but we had prototype products and stuff that we brought down with us. So we hadn't opened officially. This was probably 2016, maybe
Yeah.
2015, like between when I had applied and got the building and applied for occupancy permit, but way before we opened. So we had like a trunk full of early Shrugging Doctor products.
You just took over the border, no problem.
Yeah, they didn't stop us, so we
That's
got
fair.
it. Like, well, and then
try it.
the funny part was we couldn't legally drink in the States
Right.
because we were 20 or whatever. So
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I
so-
forgot about that part.
yeah, because I always thought that was funny because I own a liquor manufacturer in Canada and I can't legally drink my own products in your country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was an interesting
like,
time.
I
I
could
forgot all
be-
about that.
It's like I've got an export license, but I can't consume it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But
we
I
had a
remember,
business meeting with alcohol down here.
yeah, I remember, and then I remember like sitting outside and drinking with like your friends or family or whatever, and like everyone has fucking guns, like
Yeah.
on them, and I'm just like this. It was like culture shock. Like I know you grew up there, so it's like, but I grew up in like a big city, like Canada, where we don't really have any guns, and you're just and like. Yeah, you walk in, it's just like the exact thing that when you take your gun safety test, they're like, this kind of cabinet is not sufficient. It's like glass. That was just like what his friends had in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, I grew up with guns, and my stepdad is actually like a world famous gunsmith. So I grew up from like 5 years old. He put a gun in my hand and was teaching me how to shoot and all that. But the funny part is he would not take me hunting. He could not stand to kill an animal. He shot competitively,
Interesting.
like
yeah.
nothing live.
Yeah.
He just shot competitively, you know. And he loves making guns, and like when the company went out of business, he made it out of our garage and everything too before another company picked them up.
That is interesting because that's like, I mean, why firearms were invented was to kill other people, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So-
like literally.
It's interesting, kind of like the morality of like, I'll build the firearms and sell them to people, but I'm not gonna shoot at anything.
Yeah, and actually, the company that picked them up actually built the new Marine Sniper 308. Like they built the new standard issue, like they designed
Yeah.
it and everything. So like he's literally making guns that go to war, but he refuses to shoot even like, you know, a
Rabbits.
deer.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he won't even shoot a rabbit.
Wild.
That's
Yeah,
Like-
he cried when he had to shoot our parrot with an airsoft gun because it got out, you know, and they can't survive by themselves. And like he wouldn't come back, so he had to do that. And he cried about that for a while. Like
That's fucking crazy.
he just makes
It's like
yeah, it's
the
interesting dilemma.
like what's like yeah, it's one of the things like the complicity of cooperation. It's like when you're inside a system like that and you're substantively helping build guns, but you can be like, well, I'm not actually killing people. It's like you can stand back, but then if you go down a
Yeah.
certain distance down the chain, like in Mexico, for example, where they got a big problem of just like they call it the River of Iron, of just guns coming south into Mexico, you know, sold through like unregistered private sellers, and they go into the cartels, and then those guns are used to slaughter villages full of people and kill police
yeah.
officers. And it's like, oh well, who's complicit? It's like they're actually, Mexico is suing the gun companies now because they're not doing anything to prevent their guns from flowing into Mexico. and it's like
I don't
billions
know
of dollars
about
worth.
that.
Yeah, it's
Like, I
it's
feel
the
like
first of its
once
kind.
the gun's sold, it's no longer the company's liability. Like,
Yeah, so
all they
yeah.
do is make a gun. If it doesn't blow up in your hands, they did their part. I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like.
that's what they try to argue, but it's obviously a little bit more complicated than that. But there
Yeah.
is precedent for gun companies being held responsible for irresponsible distribution of the product.
Yeah, I understand if they're like not going like I'm all for people owning guns. Like I think if you should be able to protect yourself no matter what, right? Whether that be a sword, a gun, brass knuckles, whatever you got to use, protect yourself,
Yeah,
right? But I also don't believe that people should just be able to walk in, here's my name, and I'm slightly like literally schizophrenic. Can I have a gun? And they still say yes. Like that's a little bit too much for
well,
me,
I mean, like Florida is like a no carry or no permit concealed carry. Anybody can buy a gun and carry it anywhere without even having to give their name.
That's how it is in Wyoming too. As soon
Yeah,
as you turn, I think it's 18, you can buy a rifle yourself
yeah.
without any permits, and then 21, you can conceal carry without any training or permits or anything like that.
Dang. I think like that. I get the give people guns, but like, come on, do some training. Like I had a rifle club as a kid, and just got like all the proper procedures drilled into my head. And like
Yeah,
anybody I know that uses guns here is you got to go through very very strict training, and especially when it comes to anything like handguns, shotguns, stuff like that. You gotta, or I guess, are like hunting shotguns, really long barrel shit, but
mhm.
yeah, you go through tons of training to handle this, and then you go out. If you've ever gone out shooting with people that have no idea how to handle guns, it's
It's
fucking scary,
terrifying.
man.
It's
You're like
terrifying,
somebody's gonna
dude.
fucking die. Like even with training, like the one of my favorite statistics is over nine. I think I don't know if it's 95 or 97% of gunshot wounds that occur from SWAT teams is friendly fire. Like 97% of the time they discharge their weapon, they shoot one of their own guys. Only
Oh
3% of the
man.
time they actually hit someone downrange, and less than 1% of the time the SWAT team is deployed, it's actually for a violent crime. Mostly it's for like serving warrants and probation and like financial, or like guy didn't pay rent and he's got a warrant or some shit. That's like what
Yeah.
SWAT is used for. They're like highly trained. That's their entire fucking purpose. And typically they just shoot each other in the back, and then they'll like throw and they all have 9mm weapons, right? So they just like keep an extra Glock they confiscated off some black guy, and they like throw that on the guy that they just killed, and they're like, oh, I guess he shot the cop. And it's like that's how it mostly goes. So it's like it's such a fucking wild thing to have, like something so powerful that can like accidentally create so much damage. Like I saw a comedian who said, he's like, it takes 3 fucking days to make a croissant, but in about 5 minutes you can accidentally make a human being. You can just like fuck someone unprotected and you can make a human being, and that is significantly easier than making a goddamn croissant. And he's like, that is fucked. And it's like I kind of see
It's
guns in
true
that same
though.
way. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like you could like I know when I read the stories like like the 4 or 5 year old getting into the gun safe and like
yeah,
actually shooting his parents on accident or shooting himself and stuff.
yeah.
Like those are the type of people like they didn't have the training, they didn't have none of that. And I think every single person, if you're gonna own a gun, you should at least take some form of test that shows you're not an idiot with a gun. Like
So
the safety,
yeah.
to make sure it's always unloaded, treat every gun like it is loaded, no matter what, all that.
So you're already
But
further left than most Democrats.
Yeah, like kind of
yeah,
like the same, like the gun. Like I've made comparisons to the gun from the gun industry to the liquor industry before, because like for we were talking about how like people are suing gun companies. Like people here sue bars and win if they overserve you and then you go drunk drive and die. Like
real.
their families will sue the bar
Yeah.
for overserving alcohol, and they've actually won before if they can prove that like
Whoa.
the bartender, should have cut them off and they didn't or something.
Or prevented them from
Wow.
driving.
Yeah, so it's an interesting because like as a liquor license holder myself, I actually have the responsibility. If I see someone breaking liquor law, I'm supposed to try and stop them.
Or
Like
report them.
reasonably stop them is what it says. So like if I feel a threat to my physical being or something, then I don't have to, obviously. But like if someone buys a bottle of wine from my bar, walks outside and cracks it on the street, and I see them do that, it's technically my responsibility to walk out there and be like, hey, you can't drink that.
Oh, okay. So to put it in simple point, you basically become like a liquor cop when you get your liquor license.
Basically, yeah.
Which is like,
Wow.
so like when you're kind of saying like,
And that even applies to bartenders individually.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's like, well, when the gun leaves the gun store, why is it their fault anymore? It's like, well, when the liquor leaves my fucking building, why is it my fault anymore? But apparently it is. So it's an interesting.
That's fair.
Whenever there's
It is
industry that's like can kill people,
Yeah.
like that's my argument for legalizing drugs is like, fucking liquor kills way more people than illegal drugs do every year, and no one gives a fuck about that. And when I'm like, oh, I'm in the wine business, people are always like, wow, that's so cool. But like, if I was like, oh yeah, I'm a cocaine importer, they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing, right?
Yeah.
But it's like,
Don't drink so much beer on Friday night. Just take a bump of K. It's way healthier.
yeah. So it's like, I don't know.
One bomb, get my head straight.
Yeah, exactly.
People get weird when it's like businesses that can not potentially kill people, but like do kill people, right? Like,
Yeah,
like
when
construction.
it's shown that it kills.
yeah, like there's not, like being in a car manufacturer and you get a car accident, that's one thing, but like guns are meant to kill people, and liquor, there is no, like it kills you.
Being a car manufacturer and intentionally cutting corners on like safety features that you could easily afford to put in, but you just want to like add a tenth of a decimal point to your profit margin, so you like cut the thing and then a few hundred people die, but you do it anyways, knowing it's going to happen because the lawsuit's cheaper than the profits that you made, and that's just kind of how it works. Like, that's fucked.
You ain't gotta sum up America like that.
There's a precedent for that, and it's like actively done. Like that's like drug companies in a nutshell. They're like, oh well, the lawsuits cost us this much, and well, we could make it better, or we could make this much money, and we can afford the lawsuits or whatever.
Yeah, Tyler's a communist now, so this is a business podcast, however. So it's an interesting take when we have communist takes.
Yeah, we're like self-deprecating business people. We're begrudgingly in business because it's like that's what suits our values best in the system we live on.
What else am I gonna do? Join the Matrix and fucking
or the military or work for the government? Like, I don't know. None of those work.
Yeah. Then you're just getting fucked biting the pillow, going in dry kind of shit,
Exactly.
So as far as like, because I would say like being an independent music artist is as difficult as like my job being a, like you're an entrepreneur, right? I think like a lot of people don't really see it like that because they don't see the kind of the background to it. Like I think a lot of people think like you just show up and you sing a song and then you leave and then it's like that's your job kind of thing. But it's there is a lot of creative behind it, not just the music making, I mean, but like as far as like business management goes, right? Like you have to figure out collaborations and touring and merchandise and recording and distributing songs and stuff like that. Like there's do you think of yourself as a business owner, as a small business owner?
So, yeah, I do, and I agree with you completely that like a lot of people just view, especially hip hop artists or even, electronic music, they all say, oh, he just pushes a button and he just dances around on stage. Well, you don't see what goes in behind that. There's hours into making the song, there's hours to writing it. There's like, if you're your own producer, there's the beat that you have to make. And if you're not your own producer, then you're talking contracts with the producers to use their beat without getting sued. You're paying fees at left and right, royalties to the producer on the back end. If you don't read the contracts right, then you can get screwed out of your money. Like one of my favorite songs that I have recorded right now, I can't even release because in order to get rights to release it without being sued, the producer was asking for 100% of my royalties. So like, if you don't read these contracts, you get screwed over.
Yeah.
So like, there's a lot of business behind it too. Like, I don't just walk in, write a song and then bam, I can automatically get on a show. My first show, I paid $880 out of pocket to get on.
Yeah.
Like for my own money, just to like, you have to invest in yourself just like any other business. And to make a song, it's a couple $100 if you're paying producers and engineers and stuff like that. Then you're talking about music video prices. Then you're talking about booking the music videos with the right person who sees your creative vision, and promotion and everything. It is like a real business, and people only see it as, he's just talking fast and talking about, killing people and doing this and doing that when it's a lot more than what people see. Even like mumble rappers and stuff, they're going through it too.
Yeah, yeah. I always see videos of like Snoop Dogg saying how he got fucked out of royalties and stuff. Like he doesn't make
Mhm.
any money from he only makes money when he tours. He says he doesn't make any money off of fucking like 50% of Doggy Style
Streaming.
streams still he has to give away, and like it's just
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
it's
because these companies, like, you'll notice, like, if you take a real hard look at the industry, hip hop industry, right? Every new artist coming out, they are between the ages of 17 and 23, bro.
Yeah, because they're
In
dumb
that in
enough to
that
sign the
ballpark.
contract.
They're dumb enough to sign the contract because the label offered them like 2 million up front as an
Yeah.
advancement for their album to come out. And then they go spend that $2 million thinking, oh, it's gonna be all fine, and they end up having to owe that $2 million because they blew through it too quick.
Yeah.
And now the company owns your masters. You owe them a debt, and it's a rough industry for people trying to do it on their own. Like it really is. And once you get into the contract world, it's even rougher. Dude,
So who do you,
everyone thinks the label's the way to go. It's looking more and more like independence the only way to go.
so do you think there's a bit like I hate to say this in terms of like this is bastardizing the entire idea, but obviously there's got to be a business and an I guess you could say an investment opportunity for people that want to back like independent artists. Is there a way to do that that's not obviously creating your own label? Like, can you just like back an artist?
Yes, dude,
Like, and just invest
actually,
for a return?
glad you actually asked something about that. I have a friend that I met through somebody who I was trying to sign to Dead Presidents, right? Like I wanted to add this guy into our group because hands down, he's the best freestyler I've ever met in person. The kid's insane. But this guy's friend, he ended up like seeing what we were doing, and he like really liked us and everything. And uh, when it came time to perform with Tech Nine, something had come up to where I wasn't able to pay the $1,000 to get onto the show with Tech Nine.
Yeah.
And this guy that I had just met was like, "I'll be your backer, dude." And he literally like paid to get us on the show, and then paid to make us our first merchandise like batch and everything too. He comes to all of our shows, and he's not a company. He's an oil rig worker,
Yeah.
you know. And he just saw what we're doing, and he's like, "Yo, I want to be a part of that."
Yeah, that's
And
basically
he
what I
just
was
gives
doing.
us the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot more personal too. Like
Yeah.
especially if you like the person. Like that guy and me now, we're super tight. I love that guy.
So
He's fucking great. Shout out Chase Kip if you ever watch this. I fucking love you, dude.
do you ever do you treat it like a loan, or do you pay him back royalties, or how does that work?
So right now, we are trying to get it to where, like, we're trying to get it to where we can get good prices for the shirts. So that way, say we buy one shirt at $5 a piece to print it, and we sell it at 20, right?
Yeah.
Then I want, with him at least, I want to be able to split that in half with him, and that's what we're working towards right now. But we're just not in the profit margins yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So,
So you-
like, we're definitely trying to get it to where whoever puts into us is also getting something out of it. You know?
Yeah, I think that's. What do you think about if there was like a fucking Kickstarter for musicians specifically, where people
I
can.
think that would honestly be such a great business model, especially if you got, like 2-3% off the side as the company who's hosting it.
Yeah, and
But
just
I
like
think a lot more artists
yeah, just make
would
like
blow up.
a tiny amount compared to what the big producers make, and just provide basic
Mm-hmm.
resources.
like a
Yeah.
crowdsourced label.
Yeah, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That could change the entire industry if you had okay, look, NFTs were trying to do that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Who was it? One of the artists was selling NFTs, and that means like the person bought part of the ownership of the song that he was releasing.
Right.
So they get like 2% of the royalties for that song for life now
Right.
because they own that. And NFTs like kind of creak that door open that you're talking about.
Right.
But I don't think anyone's tried to really full-fledged it, but if they
Make a
did,
platform,
it
yeah.
would be it would change the game, and you would see a lot of these artists that you think like he should definitely have blown up by now.
Right.
You would see a lot more of them blowing up.
So have you ever heard of the app called Musi?
Musi? No.
Musi. It's like
Uh-uh.
one of the top like 10 music apps on the App Store. It's like up there with like SoundCloud, apparently. I don't know. I've never used
Yeah.
it personally, but apparently it's fucking massive.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, anyway, the founders are actually they're like my age. They're from Winnipeg here. And they're stupid rich, like driving Lambos, flying choppers. Like they're stupid rich. And yeah, that just like was born out of some idea of two fucking like guys in their early 20s built one of the biggest music apps in the world. And it's just, these things come out of nowhere. And it's like Spotify obviously was like nothing 8 years ago. And,
Oh, yeah.
and SoundCloud's pretty old already, but a lot of these apps, a lot of these platforms, I mean, they just do pop up. I don't know. This is actually a pretty good idea. Maybe we should cut this entire thing out and just we should go run with this
and then release it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Spotify 8 years ago,
Yeah.
not even being a thing. What, 12 years ago, it would have been illegal.
Right.
Like, because that was the big thing. People streaming music online before it was monetized is pirating music.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like 12 years ago, it was frowned upon, and now it's $1 billion business.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because, like you said, it pops up out of nowhere. Spotify came in as this like little Facebook thing, and then just fucking took off.
Well, because not even that, but like nobody even downloads music anymore, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not even become mainstream; it's become the only thing, right?
Yeah.
And like we were talking about this the other day, like Gen Z doesn't know how to download shit. Like it wasn't that like because like there was some article that came out that was like Gen Z are pirating at an almost zero rate now, and compared to like my generation that was fucking pirating everything, right? And then people were or like this journalist was saying, and people were commenting that like it's not that they are morally against it or anything. It's just they physically do not know how. Like there's Gen Z people that don't know how to download files onto computers because they never. They don't like I employ someone who's like 19 and she doesn't have a computer. She has a phone and like an iPad and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's like they like families don't have family computers anymore. They have a family iPad or whatever, right? And it's like you're streaming your music, you're streaming your video, and then a lot like even fucking video games. You have Game Pass and shit now. Like you don't even you just stream your video games.
Like before Google Stadia shut down, that was literally a gaming streaming service. You didn't download the games to your console; you played them through the cloud.
Yeah, exactly. So like that. So like it's literally getting to the point where it's like there's nothing, because that's the thing with Wii U, right? You can't have any. You can't download any games. It's just all on the cloud as well. So yeah, it's like that. We're in an age where so quickly, like less than 20 years, we went from needing it being illegal to stream to that's the only thing you can possibly do now because nothing else exists.
Like do you remember being a kid watching like a movie online felt like you were going to go to prison? Like you remember that commercial you wouldn't download a car.
Yeah.
Hey, you can.
The FBI privacy warning. It's like, oh no, the FBI.
I saw some TikTok that the guy edited that commercial, so it's like you wouldn't download a car, and then he's on like Pirate Bay pirating 3D printer schematics for a car, and then he starts printing a car.
I would download a car.
Although I do remember growing up knowing that like whatever online piracy, like pirating music and movies and shit, was actually not like a indictable offense here. Like you can't actually get charged for it.
So in America,
not actually illegal.
Yeah. So in America, it is. You can go to jail, and they've tried to make an example of people and put them in jail for it. But in Canada, there's a Supreme Court appeal, and the Supreme Court said, yeah, you can't fucking put people in jail for pirating shit. So we actually have precedent in this country that all they can do is fine you, and they never do because it's too much like work to investigate. So if you ever pirate something, your internet service provider just sends you an email that says, hey, that's illegal, by the way, and then that's it, and they never do anything else.
Oh my! Wow.
Yeah, we've never had
down here,
anyone.
dude.
Yeah.
You guys hear the story about the Pirate Bay owner?
Fuck yeah!
He actually,
I was gonna say, land of the free down there. You mean?
My favorite is one time they had I think it was like Shrek 2. It was something funny. And some like fucking DreamWorks sends an email to the lawyers of Pirate Bay being like, we demand you take down Shrek 2 off your service. And they respond with, like, we are based in Stockholm, Sweden. And just in case you didn't know, Sweden is not a state within the United States of America. It is our opinion and the opinion of our lawyers that you can go fuck yourself. And they put that in the official email.
That is fantastic.
I love when corporations get like that, dude. Like they just stand their ground, dude. It's you love to see it.
Yeah, that would have been me typing that email. That's the kind of corporate middle manager I am.
Yeah.
So actually, this is good timing. But I was listening to some coverage on the whole deal of Live Nation and Ticketmaster because they're being grilled in Congress right now, right? Like yesterday, today, but. Or day before.
I actually didn't hear about that.
Well, yeah, what's your fucking take on Live Nation and Ticketmaster?
Because they're getting they might want to break them up because they're a monopoly.
Oh, okay. They're talking about how much of a stranglehold Ticketmaster has.
And Live Nation,
Dude,
yeah.
Yeah, I honestly think that's a good idea. Like,
I think everybody thinks that's a good idea, especially if you're in music.
Yeah, like because I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Ticketmaster takes a percentage of your artist.
Well, I think it's like
I
think it's like 30% or something insane.
Yeah,
plus
like,
they charge fees to the customers.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then they charge...
and especially in this day and age where like you said earlier, artists are making 90% of their money on touring.
Yeah,
and they're taking 30% of that.
Yeah,
and you think about it, Ticketmaster, like especially for somebody like Drake, Ticketmaster, I guarantee, was handling every single one of his shows on tour.
Yeah. They
and he's getting $500K a show.
Yeah, so as soon as that adds up quick.
Yeah, it's way too much money. And then Live Nation are the ones that actually have like the contracts with the venues booking the artists, right? I think that's how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know who Live Nation is. They're like the network of promoters who book the artists.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ticketmaster owns Live Nation.
Yeah, that's a bad combo.
Exactly.
I think it should definitely be broken up.
Because like when you've done shows and sold tickets, do you use a service or do you just like fucking print tickets and like sell them?
So Connor, my boss in music, Connor Lorenz, he owns Extrinsic and he works in Strong Survive. They print their own tickets, and for a little bit they were using Ticketmaster, so he's been affected directly through this, But now we're using eTix.
Okay.
Yeah, we use a service now that isn't Ticketmaster, and I think they're pretty great. I mean, they're even like really cool looking tickets. Like I keep a few. Like when I buy them for myself, I still have a bunch of them laying around.
Yeah, I mean, like ticketing is something that like Web 4 is really good for, like blockchain technology, right? Like that would be that's what fucking blockchain would be perfect for.
Yeah.
That is I think the blockchain, whether it was meant to or not, was pretty much made for music. Like I think the blockchain has the biggest resource available in anything art related, honestly.
Yeah, like I've done ticketed events, like we've done like wine and cheese events and stuff, and we use Eventbrite is the company we use, and I think they take I think it's less than 5%.
Are they Canadian?
Yeah, that's how it should be.
They might be Canadian, yeah, but they're really good because they email confirmations to the people with their ticket information, and you can print it off and you have all their names and everything. It's a really good service. But I think when they took, I think like last time I used them, I sold like $2,500 of tickets or something, and I was expecting the fee to like be a fair amount, and then they took like $20 out, and I'm like, oh. Okay, that's
yeah,
fine.
that's how it should be, because I imagine you're paying the company to print your tickets too. You're not just getting them.
No,
just
digital.
Yeah, like I print them off myself. Like, oh yeah, no, they just come with their phone and it has a QR code on it, and then I just like look at it.
And then they've got like a scanner.
Wow.
Scanner app. So there's no printing.
Wow.
Well, what I did, because my last event I did was like 40 people, so it was enough to keep track of. So I just had their names printed on a piece of paper that you can just do from the website, and then as they came in, I just asked their name and I checked them off. So I just had like a list. So, yeah, but I mean, like, I think there's always going to be services that pick up trying to take advantage of anyone, right? Like it's like you're like, I don't want to fucking book my shows myself and print my tickets myself and manage all refunds and that shit. Like, I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, 30% is 30%. I can't do it myself, so I'm gonna pay them, and that's what they're waiting for, right?
Yeah. Because I mean, you're always going to get those people, like you said, that I don't want to do all that myself. All I want to do is show up, do my show, and leave.
Yeah.
Get paid for it. But I still think 30% is nuts.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that high, but like I know it's
insane.
high.
It's a lot. And then on the customer side, you're like, you pay the ticket fee, and then there's a processing fee, and then there's like a something or other, because fuck you fee, and then taxes, and then more fees, and then it's like
And
by
then
the time it's
because
all
we can
done,
fee.
yeah, then by the time it's all done, it's marked up like 50% over the price of the ticket, and that's the only place you can buy that ticket.
Well, people were
Yeah.
like buying fucking Taylor Swift tickets for like $1,000.
Well, that was
But down here, it was like $6,000, dude.
Yeah, the way it's all actually, this investigation is actually based around the Taylor Swift concert or Taylor Swift tour, and what they say is that basically bots were pounding the site and driving up the surge pricing, I guess, of like their algorithm, and also was crashing the site. So they blame bots, and then I think the idea of Congress is they're like, well, that's kind of the fucking problem, isn't it? That like your system is set up where it can be exploited like this. So
Yeah.
yeah, and it
I mean, if
certainly
you
is.
think about it, if they split up the company, I honestly would hope for something like the total demise of Ticketmaster, right?
Yeah, they need
Because
to.
then it gives a regional area kind of
Yeah.
feel to it. Like
Yeah.
you go to the West and X company's helping sell the tickets over there. You go to the Midwest, it's a different company.
Yeah, it's
And
really.
each one of them is profiting for the region, and the bots can't attack for the entire tour because it's all split up into different companies.
Yeah, different
instead of
systems.
just one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. Like it's an antitrust issue, is what it is, and I don't know. It's really fucking hard to break up companies like that and to create room for competition. You really just got to talk to people that know the industry. And a lot of the things they talk about is like venues have like 5 to 10 year contracts with ticketing and promotion companies. So it's like they need to maybe attack those contracts or whatever it is that's keeping other people out. Because if you're like, oh, I'm going to start a promotions company, it's like, oh, but the next time the bid is up for tender is in 4 years from now, and when it does go up for tender, it's almost guaranteed to go to the same fucking guy because they're going to overpay for it.
And we got to check if Nancy Pelosi owns a bunch of Ticketmaster stocks, because if she does, then there's no way this is going through the courts.
True.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to transfer here into the part of the show that we call Shot Caller, the part of the show where you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take. Today, Tyler and I are taking the good old, I don't know, we've been trying to do weird ones, and it's a, where's the camera that you can see? It's a salted watermelon whiskey.
What?
Yeah, we don't know. I don't know if you had those in America, but like you go to like a gas station, they have like 5-cent candies. And you like pick them up and put them in the bag, and there's like those little watermelon ones.
Yeah.
That's what it fucking tastes like.
Whoa.
Also, do you know about like Old Smoky Tennessee whiskey?
Old Smoky. I've heard of it. I don't think I've ever
Yeah,
tried
they've
it.
got like a lot of moonshine based products actually.
It's not.
They got like mason jar, like you
the
can get
mason
apple
jar,
pie.
like the apple pie moonshine and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I have tried it.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
it's
That's the same company.
It's the same company. I think it's
Oh.
it's not great, but I love how weird they're getting. Like I would never drink their fucking. I'll show it to the camera so the audience can see too. It's not like I would never drink their actual whiskey, but the weird. I'm like, this is the weirdest thing on this shelf today is this fucking thing. So, because we used to drink their mango habanero version and it got discontinued, so now we're drinking this today. So you're
It's actually
taking a drink with us?
yeah. I'm
What
always-
are you shooting? Show the camera.
It's Seagrams. I don't know if it's backwards
Oh, yeah,
for you
Seagrams,
guys.
It is, but well, I'll mirror it when we when I edit it. Okay, well,
I don't have a webcam, so I'm using my phone. So cheers to that, huh?
Oh, that's what we're using. We're using Willow's phone.
I'm using
it's-
well,
Really?
well,
Fuck it.
okay, no. So I'm using a phone to record that the final version we'll see. You're looking at me through a webcam though.
Oh, okay.
But it is an HD, like proper webcam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you Seagrams and or Old Smoky for sponsoring this episode.
That is crisp.
I remember
Already
when we
almost
were
out of this
in
thing.
Delicious.
Wyoming. Is it still illegal to buy alcohol on Sunday?
No.
Okay,
No.
because it was when we were there.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of like the weirder laws, dude, I actually want to give you like a little insight onto the weird laws we have here. One of the laws that we have still in like the town constitution, whatever you want to call it, is that when you leave jail, the sheriff's office is supposed to give you a rifle and a horse to leave
Dope.
with.
Do they?
No, they don't,
That-
and I'm kind of pressed
You
about
should
it.
fucking sue
The,
Dude,
the boy's getting arrested on fucking Saturday to get a horse and a rifle.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
like go in on the weekend, come out with a couple $100 of extra stuff.
Yeah, you
Come
need to
1,000,
go,
man.
You need to go get arrested so you can sue them for not giving you a fucking rifle and a horse.
I would
No,
love.
law enforcement, enforce that law.
Yeah, that's honestly. That sounds like a business I would invest in. Let's do this.
I hate every cop unless you unless you enforce that law. Then I will start respecting your police department again, Cody Police Department.
You've been called out.
You've been called out. It's official, right here.
Because I remember your fucking country, or I guess your state, is so goddamn weird. Because it's like you can buy liquor just at a gas station on a shelf, but on Sunday they blocked it off and you couldn't buy it.
Yeah.
I grew up in a dry town, like Bible Belt of this province, and so I probably grew up in a town that was pretty much like the state you live in. So there's probably a lot in common actually with it.
I will say the most beautiful night sky I've ever seen was in Wyoming and Montana. Like just driving through between, I guess, like Billings and Cody, like just going through the mountains, and it was the middle of the night, and we literally pulled over the car and got out and just looked up, because it was like when you Google like fucking like stars and it's just like everything in the sky is a star. That's what it was like. It was the clearest sky I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, that's actually one thing I'm
Like, come on,
very
bro, you live in
thankful for
Canada.
living here.
Because
Like, it is gorgeous when you can look up and there's no light pollution.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think the best lights I ever seen. I was like, how big is Cody?
Cody's only 10,000 people.
Okay,
I
so
think.
the most remote I've personally been is probably about 6 hours north of like the next biggest town would have been Cody. So 6 hours further north than that into northern Canada, which means north of that is
man.
nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's literally nothing. Yeah, and was standing on this beach looking at the stars, and the water on this like small lake was just like like glassy smooth. So like it looked like an infinity display where it's like from my feet all the way over my head was just stars. It was perfect.
Man.
And then I got chased by a bear. And I fucking
That's
ran
the
for
most
my
Wyoming
life.
thing about that whole sentence.
Yeah, I got fucking chased by a bear up a sand dune. You ever ran up a sand dune? Like
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
it's
imagine
hard.
imagine a fucking bear is chasing you up a sand dune. It was not a good time, and it was my
That
fucking
bear
fault
would
too.
not want to eat me after I shit my pants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was fucking terrifying. Yeah, like we have a friend that actually grew up in Yukon, right? Or is it Northwest Territories?
It's northern Manitoba.
Mitch?
Technically, yeah. Or no, was it Iqaluit? I
Yeah,
think
he was in Iqaluit.
his res is in northern Manitoba, but it was Iqaluit that is in Northwest Territories, right?
I believe so. I don't know. I don't fucking know our Northern Territories
Yeah, it's
anyways.
Northwest Territories.
But that's like out here we experience northern lights, which is like on the northern sky, northern
that's
horizon.
that.
We can see them, right?
Oh, my
but
God. I
but-
want to see that so bad.
But where he's from, you see them like northwest, east, south. Like it's fully over you and around you, and like because you're in the middle of it.
Because you're in the Arctic Circle up there.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then you get days where it's like there's no light for a month. Like the sun never comes up over the horizon, and then on the other side of the year, it never goes under the horizon. So yeah, like, but it's you'll see northern lights every night up there.
Yeah, but the fucking crazy part is it's cheaper for me to spend 2 weeks in Amsterdam than it is for me to go to Iqaluit for 4 days.
What?
Yeah.
Just because it's so remote, right? There's no like.
It's so far. Like the flight. Like this is the thing about how fucking massive Canada is. Like it was more money and slower to get to like Iqaluit from my city, which is like in Manitoba, which is directly south of it. That's not even like super far east or west. I'm like pretty much in line. it would take me longer to get to Iqaluit than it would to Amsterdam, and Amsterdam would be significantly cheaper.
Wow.
Yeah, we live in a big ass fucking
Like,
country.
like if I want to go on a trip
Yeah.
and spend $20,000, either I can go to Churchill.
Okay, it's not going to
or-
take you $20,000 to go
Oh
to
no,
church.
it's like for the full tours, it's like $7,000-8,000 a person.
That seems like a lot.
Or if we want to do like Via Rail from like
Except
that's-
it's broken right now.
right. That's
so-
that's like our scenic passenger rail cars, like luxury passenger rail. That goes from like Winnipeg to the coast, like to the west coast. It is cheaper to fly to Monaco and spend a week on a yacht than it is to like just take our rail to the west coast.
Oh my god.
It's fucking crazy for like the same amount of time. Like I've like done like vacation searching, like, oh, I want to like go do this thing. It's like within Canada, and I'll look at the price and like, god damn, it's like it'd be a hell of a lot cheaper to just go to Ibiza and rave for a weekend. And it's like we were looking at we're actually flying to Halifax in a couple of weeks, and a flight to Halifax was $50 more than a flight to Amsterdam, same dates. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just from being in a country that doesn't have a lot of people. That's the real problem.
Yeah, it's all supply demand, right?
Yeah, that's really what it is. But also driving there takes 4 days.
What's the population difference between the Canada and the United States?
10 to 1.
10 to 1, yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah.
had no idea.
We're basically the population of California.
We are the size of California.
the whole country?
The whole country, yeah.
But California would fit several times over in our province.
Like, yeah, our country is bigger than like half of Africa, but like land mass wise. But yeah, we have 35 million people.
Wow.
So there's cities in China that have more people than Canada.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
That is nuts.
I
I,
think- yeah.
never knew that.
yeah.
there's a lot of empty space here. Like
And-
cabin country, like it's up here. It's like all about going to the cabins, going to the woods, and there's just fucking space, man. Like it's not hard to make plans on a weekend and go and do something where you won't see a soul.
That's really cool. I mean, at least you guys have like one of the last untouched areas. On
We-
the
Literally the
planet.
last untouched area next
Yeah.
to like the Antarctic Circle, I guess.
Yeah, we literally do. It's like we have the most fresh water in like the world in Canada, and like some
In
of
our
the
province.
second largest country by landmass. Like it's yeah. We'll,
That's nuts.
but as soon as the climate wars start happening, your country will probably take us over and annex us for our water. So,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Hey, might as well move to Canada right now, right? Because I mean, you're all going to become Americans at some point.
Yeah, we'll be we'll be the 51st state.
Yeah, you and your cousins will come rolling through. They'll be like, "Hey, we know a guy here."
Yeah, we know that. It's fine. We got a spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's nuts. I did not know that it was outnumbered like that. Like, and I know you guys have some beautiful wilderness. I got to spend a week up in Canada on a private island over in like British Columbia area.
Yeah.
And still to this day, it's been like 10 years. That is hands down the most beautiful area I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's
Like I got
Washington
to see
State, too.
whales breaching out of the water and shit like that, dude.
Yeah.
Like
I
it
haven't
was
even had
just a
that
nice
experience.
little fog over the water and oh, it was like surrounded by perfectly green mountains. Like, oh my God, I cannot emphasize enough how beautiful that was. Like,
what
I
I-
love that place.
What I really like about Canada too is like, well, I guess it's kind of like America in the same way that like there's so many different biomes and like groups, like different area. Like we have the like in BC the mountains and the oceans, and then the other coast is like completely different with like rock faces and like different
Yeah.
ocean, and then like we're just in the prairies with like it's all flat and it's like it's just it's interesting.
I do think the U.S. though has the most. It has the most extreme weather on the planet, and also the most diversity of ecosystems.
like the tip of Florida to the tip of North Dakota are like the most difference in weather is what you're saying?
No, just like in terms of total diversity, like deserts, jungles, prairies, mountains, coasts,
Tundras.
tundra, like
Yeah.
tropical, everything. Like they have the most diversity and most extreme weather. They're the only place that's got. You know that the U.S. is the only place that has tornadoes in the world.
I was about to ask if you knew that or not because
Yeah.
when you said like we have the most extreme weather, I was like, now that I think about it, I never read about a fucking tornado in China.
Have you,
Like,
no, no, it's literally just the U.S.
Why is that true?
Well,
Why
I
does
guess-
that happen?
Oh, you
I
know
guess
what?
US
No,
and
no,
Canada,
don't even
yeah.
answer that. I know why. Okay, we're not even going to talk about why we're the only ones to get tornadoes.
It's the CIA, obviously.
It's the DARPA
Yeah.
is creating them.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a tornado or like seen one?
No, okay. I've seen one technically. So I was born in Arizona,
Yeah.
right? And one day we were driving back. Little backstory on DayDay here. My brother had got when he was born, his eye was like super fucked up. Like he couldn't see out of it or anything. When he was 2 years old, he had a surgery to get his eye removed from his head and like reworked and everything, you know. On the way back from that, we like look over Mount Lemon, and like we're looking over the mountain, and there's just this huge dust devil, like massive. And dust devils are kind of like tornadoes, just not as violent,
Yeah.
right? But it was taller than our mountain, and you could just see it swirling over there, dude. And that's as close as I've ever been to anything like a tornado.
Oh yeah.
But I have a really weird bucket list, and being in a tornado is definitely like top 3 on my bucket list.
I
I already crossed off number 2, and that was being in a car accident. If that tells you anything about me, dude.
That's a fun list, dude. That's a real
Yeah,
fun
man.
list. I've been within I think within a mile of a tornado. I saw like
Really?
a 70-pound chunk of like a steel disc. You ever had like a disc fry? Like really like this massive steel disc, you just fill it with oil and you like fry like fucking fish and potatoes and shit in there.
Yeah.
So like the disc fry, like the
That's
disc.
such an unrelatable statement, and then you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
You
moving
both are
carbon
fucking
foil
hicks.
stuff.
But yeah, the fucking disc flew across the yard like a frisbee. It was
Oh
crazy.
my god.
Yeah, you know how heavy those things are. It was like a 2-man lift. And the one of the trees in the yard got hit by lightning directly and exploded, split in half, straight down the middle. Like half the tree fell, half the tree was still standing there. It was wild. And
Wow.
there was so many, like half the trees in the village, they got all knocked down, and we like couldn't leave for a while because we had to like hook them up with tow ropes and like drag them off the road. And
Get
Yeah.
your Ford F-150 out.
yeah, no, F350.
Yeah, the F-150.
yeah, there was like a significant amount of damage around here, and like there's
Yeah.
it's just always in the kind of the small towns kind of surrounding the city where I grew up in. But yeah, it was like I got really really close to a tornado once, and just outside of Winnipeg, where we are right now, actually Charleswood within Winnipeg. We're gonna like you can beep that out. Probably 30 minutes from here was one of the most powerful tornadoes ever recorded. Was an F5.
Really?
Yeah, it wiped an entire town off the map. If you
Oh,
actually
shit.
if you look it up, the Eli,
Manitoba.
Eli tornado is one of the strongest tornadoes ever recorded. It was like 30 minutes from here. So we get them too, and it's like with global warming, it's actually gonna like the tornado alley is gonna push north, and
Yep.
we're gonna get more and more and more of them.
Well, like, did you hear? I'm no scientist, okay, by any means. I will say that now, so like,
Are you sure?
this is all opinion.
Your glasses made you look pretty fucking legit.
Yeah, right. Like, I even got the tape and everything. Like, actually, that's not even tape. That's an archery glove.
Oh, I was gonna ask you what that was. That's so good.
Yeah, it's an archery glove that we just tore up. And but did you guys notice or read about the fact that our core is now spinning the other way?
Yeah, I heard it stopped somehow.
Yeah, it stopped and now it's spinning the other way.
Yeah, I didn't
Like
look
our
into it
core
anymore.
reversed its direction, right? And I think that's gonna have some huge effects on our
Well,
climate and everything.
There's theories that like the entire like when the Pangea shift happened, where like the continents split apart, or like the Noah's Ark flood, which some people think are the same event, but I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist. But there are records of like the city of Atlantis, for example, being flooded, where floodwaters reached like hundreds of feet tall and moved at like 30, 40, 50 miles an hour and just wiped out entire continents and just washed out cities over a long distance. And it's like, imagine if the core had a shift. The Earth's core shifts, magnetic pole shift. I mean, like, Yeah, the effects can't even be like fucking conceived of. Like
They
you're not
can't
even
be
like we're not even
fathomed.
talking about weather here. We're talking about like you have a slight hiccup in the rotation of the Earth, and it's just like it's fucking cataclysmic. Like it's
Yeah,
getting
like
hit by a giant
okay,
meteor.
if if the Earth stopped spinning itself just
It's totally
abruptly,
appropriate.
we would all shift at 1,000 miles an hour that way, dude, and every single person would be dead instantly. Like
And
it blows my mind, you know, like because
well,
Earth will take care of us, but it'll also destroy us.
well,
in
Earth
half a
Earth will
second.
shrug us off like a bad fucking cold and get
Literally.
back to
Yeah, dude.
normal.
literally,
Yeah,
like
give it 1,000 years after we're gone, and I guarantee Earth is thriving again.
one of my favorite theories about like why we have the level of technology we have now and it hasn't happened in the past because like estimates are that humanity's been around for about 900,000 years. And like the human genome.
If you're only listening to the
Yeah.
audio version of this podcast and not the video version, as soon as he said Atlantis, I stood up and got the tinfoil beer hat out of the closet and put it on his head. So just for context, he is currently wearing a tinfoil hat.
Which makes everything I say
Even more
inadmissible
scientifically
in court.
sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CSIS can fuck right off. CSIS is our CIA.
Oh shit.
Anyways, what was I saying? We're talking about
The Earth stopping rotation, and like the weather changes and everything.
Oh
can't
yeah,
even
sorry.
be fathomed.
The fucking human evolution to the point, like well, I shouldn't say human evolution. Like our technology, like we got these microphones and shit. Like this is pretty crazy. This probably hasn't existed before that we know of, and the only thing that it can be attributed to is we just like haven't been hit by any like really big rocks or had any like there's been no ice ages recently, and just like when I say
No
recently,
extinction events.
like last 10,000 years, there's been no major extinction events to like knock us back to the fucking Stone Ages for just long enough for us to evolve this stuff. And most of everything that we have has been, created in the last like 100 years, right?
One of my favorite.
Think about the fact that we have like 100 years. Like if you go back 100 years, most of everything that doesn't exist. And
Yep.
take that back times 1,000,000. It's like that's roughly, or sorry, times 10,000. That's like roughly how long humans have been fucking around with stuff. It's not even reasonable to think that we cannot be completely wiped off the map, and it can happen tomorrow with a rock out of the sky.
One of my favorite conspiracies is that the civilizations that came before us were so advanced that everything they produced was so biodegradable that there is no record of them
Evidence of
anymore because the only thing that is evidence of them is like the pyramid, because they built that not to be biodegradable. They built it to be like a monument or something, but everything about their regular life just biodegraded because that's how they were living their life, because they needed to be sustainable because they were a advanced civilization.
Never heard that, and that makes so much more sense, dude. Oh my god.
So
I could totally see that, because I am a firm believer that there's no way that the pyramids were built just with slaves like the mass people think, like just thousands of people of slaves built that. There's over 2.8 million stones in each of the pyramids,
and like stones
There's
you
no-
can't get from around there.
they had to place.
like from hundreds of miles away in a different quarry.
Yeah, they had
Like,
to
there's
place.
no-
They
there's
had to
no
place a
fucking
stone.
way.
They had to place a stone like every 90 minutes in order to build this thing in the period of time that they built it, and they were
Yeah.
moving them like 900 miles. And these stones are bigger than any piece of equipment we have today could reasonably like move in place in that amount of time. Like it would take way more resources than like even a state would have right now.
Mhm.
And like our mechanized equipment wouldn't be able to do it. And like for a living, I work with stone and like masonry and like cutting like the hardest man-made materials that we can reasonably make for building these days, like stuff that's harder than porcelain. And the drilling and the cutting that they had the capability to do, we cannot even replicate today. Their efficiency was roughly 600 times greater than what the best tools I can buy today can perform.
Well, think about what was that? Oh, you just reminded me of something, and now I can't even remember it.
This is the beauty of the drinking podcast.
Yeah. All right. So on to another point. So like how you were saying that like these advanced civilizations, like their technologies could not even be known to us because they're biodegradable, right? And like all these things that we have in life today have been discovered within the last 100 years.
Yeah.
Well, on that front, penicillin was discovered by accident in modern day times
By a Canadian.
by a Canadian scientist who accidentally left a petri dish of bacteria out. Right?
Yeah.
40,000 years ago, the Neanderthals knew about penicillin. Like they knew that they didn't. I don't think they necessarily knew like there's an active ingredient in this thing that's making us feel better.
Right.
But they knew if they ate this specific kind of moss, it would heal the specific kind of ailment that they had. That penicillin fixes today. Penicillin is found in that moss.
One of my favorite things is like, just because white people can't do it today doesn't mean people didn't do it before.
Exactly. That's a great thing. Like
that's not
coming
true.
from a white people, that's like
just because we're like, how the fuck could these black people build those pyramids? That can't be possible. It's like maybe we can't do it anymore.
We went that 40,000 time frame, 40,000 years without knowing about penicillin when the Neanderthals died off. Right? And then we found it by fucking accident. And they discovered it through their tribal like medicine men.
Yeah.
And that just says what else in time has been lost. Like 40,000 years to find a bacteria that helps us that they already knew about. What else do we not know about that they did?
Yeah. One of my favorite...
For all we know, they're way more advanced than we could ever imagine they were.
In different ways. That's the thing. It's like advanced in different ways. The only thing that we've really done differently is we discovered like petrochemicals. And that's basically created where we are today is the petrochemical industry, like just plastics and everything that came off of that energy. But if, for example, things were built previously in a sustainable way, things were based off of like sound, resonance, frequencies, instead of like mechanical, hydraulic, electrical technology. It's like it's a different branch of evolution. So they just had it differently, and it's like recognizing it is virtually impossible because how do you recognize something that's been destroyed? But there's this body of evidence, and just nobody's addressing it because it would destroy their fucking tenure as a professor. So they're like, nah, we don't need to talk about that.
What blows my mind too is like you said, everything's like sound and vibration, right? And like I saw this one theory that you guys know as above, so below, right? You know what that means. Like everything that is up here is the same down below. So like there's a theory on the pyramid because if you know, like if you read about the pyramids, the very top of it is crystal quartz.
Yeah.
And at the very bottom of it, it's crystal quartz, right?
Yeah.
And if you go through the pyramid, it's not, your pyramid's like this. You're not walking in a straight line like this through the pyramid. You're going down. Okay? So if you think about it, like there's this, I can't remember it completely, but there's this theory that they use something like as above, so below to where they drop that quartz through the top and it formed the pyramid that we see. But if you take the full shape of it, it's actually like a diamond because the pyramid's also down below. The way they did it was they did all like they put up a dry mound of sand, wetted it, and then dropped that quartz through the top, and it made that whole thing. Like that's just dumbing it down a lot. Like I'm very wrong about how I'm describing it, but now you know how to Google it to look for it for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the listeners can look that up. Diamond pyramid. If
do your own research is kind of the definition of this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't expect people to tell you how to think. You got to do your own research.
Man.
So my job is always to kind of keep us on topic here.
Fuck you.
So we are we're coming to the latter half of the podcast. So I just like to kind of end on a couple business notes.
No.
But I wanted to know if you actually that's a good call. Usually on the podcast, if we take a shot that's under 40%, we take a second one. So me and Tyler and I are taking a second shot right now.
See, I don't even know when you poured this.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
It's literally my job to get people drunk constantly. So
that's a good job to have, bro. You're great at parties.
Always at house parties, if someone doesn't have a drink, I'm always like, even if it's not my place, I'm just like, oh, do you need a drink? Do you need something? Like, because like I'm in, like, I need to get you drunk. But yeah. So as far as like your obviously you're a relative, not to insult you, but you're a relatively small independent artist. What are your kind of aspirations business wise? Like, this is definitely something I know that you're very passionate about, but this is something you probably want to make a full career off of, right?
Very, yeah. Like I can literally pinpoint the moment that I decided I wanted to make music. Like I was listening to Silence by Jeremy Benton right after somebody had, died in my life. I heard that first verse and that feeling I got in my head, I was like, I want to make people feel like this. I want them to know that they're not alone and stuff. And from that moment on, I decided like I want to make this a career. And yes, I am. I'm lesser known. I own that actually. Like I'm not one to like go around and be like, I'm a lot bigger than I am, bitch. You know who I am? Google me. It's like I'm paying for my spot.
Yeah, but speaking from just knowing you for years, coming up on a decade probably, like you've gotten a lot more skilled in the time I've known you, and you've also gotten a lot more clout. Like I see a lot more people interacting with your stuff since like when I first met you, and you've done shows with some relatively big people like Tech9. You said like Chris Webby, I know you had a show with. Couple other...
Yeah, Afro Man, Dax, Chris Calico, a couple more.
Yeah. So those are like that's I think a lot of people can't say that, right? Like that's.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think that's the most I'm proud of. Like outside the fact, so there's three things in music I'm proud of. It's one, who I've performed with, okay, and two is my first video that I ever released under Dead President Click got 7,000 views overnight. And then three, my first show had 10 people in it, and my second show was a sold-out crowd.
Nice.
Like, those are the three things I'm proud of most. Not the money I've made, or like any of that. It's those little personal goals. Like I've crossed off every single person that I've wanted to perform with is already crossed off my list. I had to make a whole new one because I already crossed off all my goals for my performances.
Yeah.
Like Tech9, he's been a legend in my life forever. Chris Webby is my all-time favorite artist. Like top number one above literally every other fucking person on the planet. And I got to perform with him 3 times. Like I still can't believe that to this day. Like I go back and look at that picture like before the show. I'm like, dude, I did that. Like, and I'm still showing off people like, this is me with Chris Webby. This is when I perform with Afro Man. This is Tech9, like, I don't know. Like a lot of these rappers nowadays are going for, I want to have bags on bags on bags so I can do it. So I can say I did it, right? I want to have generational wealth so my great grandkids are taken care of. Like that's the number one goal above everything else. Like I'm not doing it for me. Like sure, I'm gonna enjoy the fruits of my labor. Fuck yeah, I am while I'm here, and if I make it, I'm gonna live my life to the fullest. Don't get me wrong, but the long run is to make sure that like the family that I won't have a chance to meet when I'm long gone will still be benefiting from what I did.
Yeah, because I think that's like. I forgot what the article was talking about, but I saw some like John Lennon's like grandkid or something, or like one of those Beatles has like a grandkid that's like getting paid royalties. From, who was it? Is fucking Nas put his daughter, like his like 11-month-old daughter, as like an executive producer on Stillmatic.
And now she gets paid for every royalty. She gets a percentage of it.
Yeah, and like did that when she was a kid. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, that, and then like because I guess that depends on your contract, but if you own your own masters and your own streaming rights and everything, even after you die, like your estate's getting paid that.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And like think about Michael Jackson, like his kids, Blanket and all them. They're still going to be able to ride off of Michael Jackson's music until the day they die. Yeah. They won't stop getting paid for it.
Because I guess, if you have a trust or a corporation or whatever that owns the rights, then that just...
I'm pretty sure his estate has actually made more money than he ever did.
Yeah, like when he died, look at every single artist who died. Mac Miller, the one celebrity I cried over when they died, I bawled my eyes out when Mac Miller died. He fucking saved me in high school. But when he died, his streaming went up like 3,000%, and his mom got all of that.
Well, same, like, still number one streamed on Spotify is XXXTentacion, is like higher streaming than Drake right now.
Yeah, for about I think for This happened 3 months in a row. I discover an artist, start listening to them, fall in love with the music, and then they die. Like within the month.
I'm guessing the last one was Juice World, right?
No, I think X was the last one, but like three times in a row. Like, oh, I like this artist, and they fucking died. I was like, shit.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a favor. Please don't listen.
I was just gonna say I'm not gonna send you any of his songs afterwards.
Wait, how old are you? 26?
Yeah, 26. I'm about to join the 27 club.
Yeah, you're
Me
fucked.
too, baby.
Yeah, you're fucked, dude. You're fucked.
My yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I guess just like
He's about to get car accidented.
yeah, I guess like as far as like business aspirations, yeah, I talk to you all the time at late at night. We have weird drunk conversations, and I think like you just need to fucking put out more songs. Like that's the only thing that's holding you back.
I think it is too. And like, okay, this is the first time I'm saying this to somebody who isn't my music partner. Okay, the hardest thing about rap for me, literally, is the first fucking line. I will sit there for like 2-3 hours before I get the first line of a song.
Dude.
But as soon as I get that first line done, it's like 16 bars in the next 30 minutes. But I have no idea where to start.
I gotta say, man, write the first line fucking last. That's
Yo!
When I write, I love writing. I love like more like persuasive writing, like articles, advertising copy, shit like that. Like I don't have creative writing, but like I'm in a different space. But I always write the beginning last. Because the beginning is so big, you got to talk about what you're going to talk about. I just brain dump, compress it, and then I write the beginning.
Well, even like when you write a business plan, you're supposed to do the executive summary, which is the first paragraph. You're supposed to do that last.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to sum up everything that you've written about.
Yes, you do that
and
last.
You don't know what you're writing about until you write about it.
Yeah, you write the first line last and the conclusion second last.
That's a smart approach to it too. And like
there's no pressure in the middle, man.
That actually might change up how much music I put out.
If he gets
that's good, man.
If he gets a fucking EP credit for that and I don't, I am fucking freaking out.
Yeah, see, like, okay, the other hardest thing for me is, like, you listen. What is one thing most of these artists nowadays have in common when they're writing music, right? They will rap about 1,000 different things in one verse, right?
Yeah.
My brain is stuck on you have to relate everything. You have to tell the story.
To be fair,
which is better.
That is better. Like you always hear old heads complain that fucking like no one can stay on fucking topic. Like even like Anthony Fantano says it all the time. It's like, okay, 2 lines, you're on the same topic, and then now you're switching. Okay, like you lost me. It's like that's a lost art, I think, a lot of times where it's like, no, this verse is about this, and this verse is about this, and you're not just
That's exactly where I have, because nowadays the music industry has changed so much from when I was a kid. When I was growing up, it was 4 to 5 minute songs telling you a fucking story. Like, look at Mockingbird by Eminem. The first rap song I ever learned word for word, 6 years old, right? That song has so much meaning behind it. Like, Eminem's struggling. He's trying to take care of his daughter, let her know that, hey, I'm not present right now, but I'm still here. You know, there was a time where I didn't have money. We were getting robbed and all that. Mom and dad fighting a lot. And that's that whole song. He does not detour off of that at all. And then you go and listen to these new artists, and it's like, oh, I fucked a bitch on Tuesday, but I also opened a business 6 months ago. Like, it makes no fucking sense, you know? Like,
but it sounds good.
But so do you think
it sounds exactly that the attention spans are so short that nowadays 2 lines about one topic is all that's needed.
Do you think
you can go into another topic?
Just good enough to get a TikTok soundbite, right?
That's all you're shooting for nowadays. If you become a viral sound on TikTok, you're paid for the rest of your life.
Do you know who Baby No Money is?
Baby No Money.
Yeah, he's a Canadian rapper. He does a lot. He did a bunch of albums with Young Gravy. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, I know Young Gravy. He's
okay, yeah. So
master.
they did a bunch of collab, like they're best friends in like real life, and they did a bunch of collab albums together. But he got famous from TikTok. So he had like 2,000 monthly streams or something on Spotify. And then what happened was this basically Chinese royalty, like it was like a Chinese oligarch's kid, who had like 1 billion followers on TikTok because China, posts a video of them like lip syncing one of his songs, and he went from like 2,000 monthly streams to like 1 million overnight. And then he actually toured in China before he toured in Canada, because that's like no one knew him outside, but TikTok got him famous, and that's happened to a bunch of fucking.
Do you listen to Connor Price?
Yes, I do, and just like you said, I discovered him through TikTok.
Yeah, he's killing it with TikTok.
Yeah, that's how I found him too. And he's like now he's fucking touring with Hoodie Allen, and they're like best buds. They just
and like if you think Connor Price is like a staple for who created the TikTok sound, like because you think about Connor Price on TikTok, and it's all these little skits, like the one with the carrot,
so good,
the carrot flute. He's like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And now you see every other rapper out here doing little skits with themselves promoting their song. You know,
what's his fucking name that does Black Top Big Shirt Billie Eilish? That song, what's that guy?
I don't know his name, but I definitely know the song.
But he got famous off fucking off TikTok too. Like that's just people using his shit on TikTok sounds. Like it's crazy when you think about it. And I could see a lot of like old heads and industry people being like, I'm not gonna do that because fuck you. Like I shouldn't have to. But I always talk about in business, it's like the market is the market is the market is the market. Yeah. The market doesn't give a fuck what you think. The market's gonna do what it does. So if you
don't evolve with the market, you're gonna be left behind.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's But do you think like a big thing that's holding you back is that like do you consider yourself a perfectionist when it comes to music?
When it comes to music, most definitely. Like when I started, I was doing the jumping around topics, right? Yeah. Like, one of the things I said was, like, I'm sick but got no symptoms. I'm a rebel taking down the system, killing every motherfucker who don't listen. Like, none of those things related to each other.
And that sounds like 50 other fucking verses I've heard.
Exactly. It sounds like every other SoundCloud rapper trying to fucking do this, PIG. Right? But then I write something, like...
Tell a story,
that pertains to us. Yeah, like, that has a good story to us, and I sit back and, like, I'm really proud of it. And I don't know, it's so different nowadays, but...
Because I've heard, like, a lot of, like, Russ is a good example, I think, where he was just like, I'm going to put out a song every single week. And even, like, Chris Webby did that, right, with his Webby Wednesdays, and then, like... I know
he's been going on 3 years with doing that. 3 years.
Mercules did that with Remix for a while, where he was, like, putting out a remix every week. And it was, like... Russ always talks about, he's like, I put out a song every single week and an album at least once like a year, and I put out 11 albums before anyone noticed who I was, and it was just consistently. Yeah. But then it's like, that's a big thing. I talk about this with like TikTok content and stuff for people. It's like, you just got to build a backlog, because if anyone ever discovers you and they want to explore you more, and then they go on your Spotify and you have 2 songs, then they're not going to
stick around.
They're not going to stick around. Exactly. So, but... And that's the same thing, like to make it a more general business topic. Like if people are trying to make content and stuff and they're like, oh, my first TikTok didn't get big. It's like, yeah, well, fucking people click on your TikTok and you have 3 videos. It's like, no one gives a fuck. So you need to create that backlog before.
I mean, to be fair, there's also like fucking Goody Grace, who's got almost nothing in his backlog, but fucking 50 times that in his unreleased. And he just like makes all this music. Like, do you know, you ever heard of Goody Grace?
No, I haven't.
He's from here. He's from small town Manitoba, but he did a song with like Blink 182.
He travels with Travis Barker and MGK.
Yeah, and he did a song with like G.
Yeah, then he's gonna blow up quick.
Yeah, well, he already basically has.
He's signed to the same label as Carrie Underwood.
Whoa.
Yeah, because he did a song with G-Eazy, and he did a song with Blink 182.
Well, he produced all of G-Eazy's last album. Like co-wrote and produced.
I actually think I'm friends with that guy on Facebook then.
Goody's fucking crazy. And he's like the most famous not famous person in Hollywood. And he's from fucking Selkirk, Manitoba. He moved out there when he was like 15, and he basically made his name by DJing celebrity parties because he wasn't legal to drink. So he like was just DJing parties. And everybody got to know him in these circles because he got like sponsored by some big rapper at the time. And this rapper's like, yeah, move into my house, man. You got talent. and now he's hardly released any music, but anything that he releases is super, super good. But yeah, I used to work with one of his best friends, and he showed me like unreleased music, and I was like, and he would just be like doing like casual features with like fucking Post Malone, G-Eazy, Blink-182, like, and it's like unreleased music that's never gonna get put out because of their contracts.
Well, you see, like, think about Lil Yachty, right? You know that the Walk in Poland.
Yeah.
You know that was one of his throwaway songs. A hacker actually released that song.
Wow.
And it blew up. Yeah, he was like, I was never going to release that, but the hacker put it out. And he was like, I might as well get ahead of this.
This is why my mentality for music and a lot of other things is just fucking put it out. Content creation of any kind is because you never know what's going to, like, I've heard people say that, like, I've heard, like, I think I heard a YouTuber say this, but applies to music too, is like they make videos where they don't think it's going to do well to the point where they're not going to put it out, and they're like, yeah, fuck it, put it out, and then that's the thing that gets them famous.
And it blows up.
And sometimes it's just the market doesn't give a fuck what you think. Like the market is just going to do what the market does. So I'm a quantity over quality for the most part when it comes to content creation, in my opinion. I think just start getting your face and your voice out there, and eventually you'll get in enough people's, feeds that it's something happens.
But see, the other thing with TikTok, since we're on, like people blowing up off of TikTok and stuff, is you have to consider the weird phenomenon of whether or not the artist is ready. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you see some of these artists who go mega viral on TikTok, like top 3 sounds, right?
Then disappear.
It completely disappear because one, that's the only thing that the audience knows about them, right? They are not on that like mega star level to where they just went from being a nobody to being at the top of the top that quick.
Armani White, I just remembered, that's the Billie Eilish song guy.
Armani White, yeah, that guy. Yeah, okay. I do know that name. I only know that song by him.
Yeah, okay.
But like a lot of these TikTok people who are blowing up with the #1 sounds and stuff are not ready to be superstars.
Well, you got to be be able to capitalize on it, right?
Yeah, and take a look at the Catch Me Outside girl.
Yeah,
bro, she fucking ran with that, dude.
Yeah.
She was 15 when that happened.
Yep.
And now she's a multi-millionaire, built her own business off of a fucking.
She does.
Yeah, fuck Dr. Phil, man.
Fuck
Dr. Phil.
She does $50 million a year on OnlyFans.
Yeah,
and doesn't
that's
even
another
post.
Creepy ass conversation because literally the day of her 18th birthday, she made $3 million on OnlyFans, and that says a lot about the people who followed her right away.
But she also didn't post any nudes.
Yeah, she just posts like they're not even like
bikini shots.
Yeah, they're not even like explicit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like $50 million fucking dollars in a year, buddy.
Good for you.
Just off of one website.
Yeah. Like, never mind, like, because she has songs with fucking, she had a song with Lil Yachty too. Like, she has fucking big names she's collabing with. Like, I'm sure she has streams like a lot.
Out the ass. And her tour prices are in the tens of thousands, if not the hundreds of thousands to do a single show. Like, I don't know if you guys know about like tour prices and stuff, but to give you an example of like an independent artist, like Tech-Nine's still an independent artist. He started the label, it doesn't
largest
count.
Independent artist, I think.
Exactly. I heard from a promoter for Tech-Nine to show up for 2 songs. 2 songs was $36,000.
Wow.
So you have to think about these mega viral stars. Drake is making $500,000 to book his show. That's not counting tickets. That's not counting merch. That's nothing. $500,000 to book him in your arena. Like, and it's nuts, dude. And some of these TikTok stars are just not ready for that level yet. Like everyone wants to skip the process, but not everybody is ready to skip the process.
Yeah, that's a massive business to build.
Like, I know.
Yeah.
I know, like, here's a good example. There was this, I won't name drop them because I don't want to get sued, but there was this jewelry business here in Manitoba that Whoopi Goldberg ended up wearing one of the pieces of jewelry on The View. And it went, and then so everyone was like Googling trying to find it, and they found it, and a bunch of people were buying it. It was from like up north. Not super up north, but like in Manitoba, in the province that I'm from. And they ended up like basically taking all the money and running and shutting down the website because they couldn't, or allegedly, I don't know what actually happened behind the scenes, but what happened, like, that I can see is that all these orders came in. They probably couldn't make the orders fast enough, got overwhelmed, and just said, fuck it, and apparently they're in the process of getting sued or whatever because they couldn't fulfill the orders, which is a breach of contract and everything. And it's like, but they weren't ready for the virality. Like, the orders started coming in, they weren't set up to do it.
Same thing actually happened up in Billings, Montana, with a tattoo shop, and I'll say the same thing you said. I won't mention who it was in threat of getting sued, but they had this huge promotion, dude, huge, where if you bought a like $600 worth of a gift card for the tattoo shop, they would double it, right? So like if you bought 50, they'd give you 100 for the gift card, and a lot of people bought like $600 gift cards and ended up owed like a $1,200 tattoo. Well, one night this tattoo shop closed up shop and disappeared from town. Nobody knows what happened. Like, they're gone. And they took everyone's money and left.
Yeah, they're just doing the fucking math. They're like, oh, we can actually retire on this.
Like, yeah, and they're like, we just made so much money, let's move to a different town and just not do this.
We do that as well. We do like gift card matching for wedding presents and stuff. Like if people want to buy for their he doesn't know what a social is. If people want to buy like for a gift for their wedding or like for a charity draw or like something like that, we do matching. So they buy they put in $25. We'll put in $25 to get a $50 gift card, but we have a cap, so you can't go any higher than $100.
Yeah,
for which exactly that to happen.
That reason, yeah. So you don't get overwhelmed with huge orders.
500 people come in with a $100 gift card, and I just give away my entire stock for free, and it's like, oh, now I can't afford to make more. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's definitely like, that's actually a really good point. I think that's not just in the music industry, but in business in general, is that people want this success, but they're not ready for the success in a way.
Exactly. They want to skip all the hard work to get to the success. But they don't realize that hard work that they're putting in is literally building the foundation so they don't collapse as soon as they get to the top.
Yeah, I've bid on a number of contracts in the last year where it's like, if we win this, I don't know how the fuck we're going to pull it off. It's like, this is pretty good, but it's like, I don't know how the fuck we're going to pull it off. Like, we're going to have to call some friends, and the bandwidth of like what we can handle is expanding all the time. But yeah, we actually just nailed a contract with a company that was credited with the design and recovery of like one of the basilicas, like one of the giant Catholic cathedral like basilicas in Canada. And they
refurbishment?
They did like the restoration and redesign of it. Man. And they contacted us directly for like a big project that they want to do. Was like some custom cut stone out of a quarry in Italy, and they're like, hey, can you guys, and they wanted like architectural drawings, they wanted a whole plan, and they wanted installation services, whatever. So my partner's like an architect, so we just fucking got this like cold off the internet. And it's like, being prepared for that situation, this wouldn't have been possible last year, but like now we kind of have the bandwidth to be able to tackle it. And just being able to actually accept the money that's coming your way, or like if you really want to feel small in your business, if you got a small business, go look at government tenders, go look at public tenders in your city, like specifically things that are up that anybody can bid on, and if you got the right qualifications, you've got the right price, you can win it. And I know somebody that just like turned his like cleaning business. He's like, I just like clean like dentist offices and small business. We just like clean the carpets, do some dusting, whatever. Won a 1 million square foot contract with the casinos corporation in our province, and just cleans like 1 million square feet of carpet every week. Hundreds of thousands of dollars every year.
Oh yeah,
like hundreds of thousands of dollars that he's making off of this, and it's just like fucking cleaning carpets. But he's like, if I didn't have the resources and the experience with like cleaning like 100,000 square feet, I wouldn't have got this 1 million square foot contract. And it's one of the things that's been really cool for me about getting into contracting, and I call it like the real world business, where it's like, in order to make money, I gotta actually get shit done, which is very detached from like tech and artistry and publishing and all that shit. where people think, oh, I make this viral song, I make $1 million. But in reality, you got to build this big ass business with all these people, all this infrastructure, all these things. There's even a guy from my hometown. His wife is.
You might want to move the bottle. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. You might want to move that bottle. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. There's a guy from my hometown. His wife is. She does. I guess she does impersonation, musical performances. She looks and sounds like some big artist from like the 50s or 60s. I don't know who it is, but she performs in Vegas. Like has a Las Vegas casino contract, performing. And he said the only difference from her making $100 in Winnipeg or $10,000 a night in Vegas every night is production value. And he's like, the production value took us 10 years to put together. Background dancers, electronics, like servos, fucking screen, smoke, lasers, like programming, all that shit. It took me 10 years to put it together, but now we make 10,000 a night.
When you've talked to me about that, David, like having a shitty producer or a shitty mixer versus like having a good person producing your songs is like night and day, right? Like, because you can have a really good song, but if you have a you told me one time you had like a weird guy mixing your stuff that like did a bad job or something, right? Yeah. So like that can, like, you do everything you can do perfectly, but if that's not perfect too, then it's like
a perfect, like the song you're talking about. It's actually called "Shut Me Up," and it's by far our most popular song. So our average views on Spotify are 5,000 views a song. Okay, that's our average. But the one that you're talking about is 18,000 views, almost 20,000 right now, like if I'm not mistaken. The difference is when I heard that first mix from the guy that we sent it to initially to mix that song, I would not have put that song out with how bad it sounded. But I went to a guy, and shout out Mike Million, Cooking with Million, one of the greatest producers. He's out of Tennessee. He's worked with Lil Wayne, Wiz Khalifa, T Nutty. He produced our song Vibe 2. I took it to him after I heard that other guy work on my song, and I trusted him with the vocals because, like I said, he's got the industry credits. Like he's literally credited on Wiz Khalifa's album and shit like that, you know? I took it to him, and when he sent it back to me, I was like, this is a fucking hit. Because the difference in sound quality from somebody who has gone through the process, gone through the years of learning their craft and honing it in, compared to somebody who's like, I think I'm deserved to be paid $300 to mix your song, but I'm going to send it back to where you don't even want to release it. That guy skipped the process. Million, however, has been doing this for 10 years. And only within the last 2 years that I've known him have I seen him get the Wiz Khalifa credit and all that. Like when I known him, he put that song out. And after sending it to him, to somebody who's been through the craft and through the process, it sounded like he put his blood, sweat, and tears into it because that's what he wants to do. That's what he's built his life around. You know, you can't go to somebody who's like, I think I deserve to blow up, get 200 million views on a song, but I haven't done a tour. I haven't bought any rights to a beat or anything like that. It's a world of difference. Like, trust the process is a real thing. And if you don't trust the process, you're going to implode.
Yeah, that's got to be one of
completely.
That's going to be one of my favorite parts of music production, actually, was my friend that I toured with. That's his specialty, is like final master and production.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing him like hone the craft over the last like 5 to 8 years was super cool, because he could turn something that was like, whatever, it's kind of interesting, to like a song that you could really, really kind of just lean into. And
oh yeah.
I remember the first, like, I let this guy stay with me for a year, and we're just like living in the same fucking basement together. And I remember the first fucking night that this guy stayed over, like he didn't wait a night, he didn't wait a wink. He was like, wasn't like, oh, let's get like settled into the space. It was, I gotta work in the morning. I stayed up till 11 o'clock or 11:30, and he was still mixing. He was still playing this song, working in his headphones, and he was trying to pump out the song. And he's like, yeah, I'll stay up like another hour. So he stayed up till like 1 in the morning, he said. And then 4:15, 4:30 in the morning, the guy's awake again, back at his computer.
Yep.
And woke me up because he's playing the same fucking song on a 40-second loop for like an hour. And I finally, like, you know when you're like kind of half awake, and I finally like broke, and I woke up, and it was like 5 a.m. I'm like, I don't got to be at work for another 3 hours. And this guy's just like playing this 40-second thing on loop, on loop, on loop, on loop, on loop. 40 seconds on loop for 3.5 fucking hours. I'm like, I just met you, man. You're living in my house. You're playing this fucking song over and over. And then like after the final result, I got it. Like I appreciated it, but I'm like, you fucking animal. Like how do you sit here and listen to this thing like
Dude, that is
200
such a
times
huge
in a
part of
row
music.
and just keep honing it? It was insane.
Yeah, it's. I think that comes with music because you can ask literally everyone from my girlfriend to my brothers to literally anyone that I happened to be in the car with when I heard a beat that I really liked.
Right.
If I'm figuring out the first line,
Yeah.
the beat will drop. You know how the intro like builds it up, right? And then it drops, and then it plays a little bit of the verse. I will play that 15-second window for 3 fucking hours until I figure out what I want to write about. Dude, I will keep replaying it to where people get up and leave the room because they're like, I cannot take this anymore.
You're like,
dude,
I think there's like CIA torture techniques built around this idea.
Dude, and it gets burned into your head. Like there's been many times where I go to sleep dreaming about the beat. Like, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this kind of stuff, so you can edit this out if you need to. But like the first time I ever did mushrooms, dude.
Oh, you can talk
I
about
thought
that.
I was G-Eazy, bro. I thought I was G-Eazy on stage in Brazil, killing shit, bro. And like that's just how obsessed with music I am. Like when I trip, I think about it. When I dream, I think about it. You know, and like when I'm gaming, like I'll say something in the game, or somebody else will say something, like joking around. And I'll be like, yo, that's actually like a really dope bar. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, and the CIA is torturing DayDay, and he's just like writing to the experience. Or like you got like electroshock therapy, and it's like making some weird noise in his head as he's like, okay, we got something here.
That's like the Tesla coil just zapping off in the distance, bro, and I'm rapping to that.
Yeah, you can't fucking torture a musician. You'll just monetize it.
Yeah, they'll turn around and make a career out of it, bro. Like I think, like, if I'm being real as an artist, right? I've written about pretty much everything you can think of. Right?
Yeah.
I've written about like one of the lines or one of the songs I have. It's actually like, I'm cold with the foe, like ice on the road, snow on the ground, but the crops still grow. When your hoe get bored, she texts my phone, like, come lit the pipe, he just left home. Right? That's like talking about that shit. But then I go into like the second song I ever released was called One Day, and it's about my parents dying. Right? And it's like something that happened to me directly. And I am 1,000 times prouder of that One Day song. Even though it was my second song ever, I sound like trash. My rhyme scheme is off and my rhythm is terrible. I'm not on beat, nothing. But I am more proud of that song because it came from the heart than I am about, you know, some of the harder lines I've written in my career.
Yeah.
Because those hard lines are like, the only reason I am like writing that is it's like an attention grabber. Like that's what you got to be as a rapper. You got to grab attention. And if you don't do that, then you're not going to succeed. But I'm still immensely more proud of the stuff I've written about my life and stuff I've been through than some of the hardest songs I've ever written, you know? Like there's songs where I'm like, this, if I had the right monetization and promotion around it, it would be a hit, you know? And then there's songs where like, this could not be played on radio just because how bad it sounds.
It's too
but
fun.
like what I'm saying is like on point, you know? And I'm a lot more proud of the songs that won't be played on radio and people won't get stuck in their head. But it's because it's what I've lived, you know?
Well, it's always interesting talking to different people on this podcast and just in our lives about like it's like music is business from a different perspective, right? Like it's small business from a perspective that I don't personally live or go through. So it's always interesting to see, and especially like just to hear you talking, you probably agree, Tyler. Like he's definitely doing the right thing. Like he definitely has the passion for what he's what you're doing. So we're gonna finish up here, but we wish you well in everything, all your different projects. If you want to let people know where they can find you or what you want them to do with this information, you have the floor.
Hey, if you want to follow me on anything, my personal handles are really DayDay on Instagram, Snapchat. I'm pretty sure I'm there on Twitch. Actually, no, I changed my name to Twitch to Him McGraw.
Nice.
But really DayDay on every other platform, and then Dead President. Click on anything you listen to music to from Pandora, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. And since we're on the podcast here and this is going to be going out to all your fans too, Willows, I'm going to hold you to the fact that you said you would collab with me, and I'd really like to make that happen. So,
it's on my you're talking about bucket list going in fucking tornadoes and shit. My bucket list, I am putting out a rap album before I die because I'm not very good, but I'm really passionate about hip hop. Not doing it myself, but I'm just like the entire culture, and it's like helped me get through a lot of tough shit when I was a kid. And I want my Wikipedia page to make no sense when I'm older. It's just like,
scientifically grown grapes, but had a song with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, it's like, I just want like you to be scrolling my Wikipedia. It's like, what the fuck does this guy do? It's like,
yeah, that Heineken commercial is gonna be about your fucking life, like, bro. I'm calling it now.
Disgraced mayor who has a liquor empire has this this hip hop album for some reason.
He's got this sex scandal. He's got a sex scandal with Pete Davidson and
Russia or something.
Yeah, and like I own like a capybara farm. Like nothing makes any. That's kind of like what I always wanted. Is just like when you Google me, it's like you can't. You've read about me for 20 minutes. You're like, I still don't know what he does.
Yeah, I can't exactly pinpoint what like he did in life.
Is good or bad? Who knows?
So one day, I'm gonna get you on a song and we will go viral and it'll be fun.
I would love that, dude.
And as long as it's better than the songs that like Jake Paul put out, then I am. That's my bar. So
I don't think it's hard to hit an eagle on that part, brother.
Perfect.
So other than that,
before we do head out, I do want to say, like, Willows, to you personally, like, thank you for always being like one of the realest friends I've ever had in my fucking life, dude. From the moment I met you on that, like you said, I was a meme admin. I messaged you because you had some inside joke. And from that moment, I've always considered you my fucking brother. And I could not be happier to be here with you tonight. So thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for coming on. I'm sorry that like we're just, I would come down there more if I didn't have to fucking work so much, but I
totally understand, dude. Emperors got to lead their kingdom,
So, but very soon, man, like we'll be touring together, and it'll be we'll be drinking. I'll bring my wine. I'll sponsor the tour, and we'll bring it backstage.
Oh, dude! I had a fucking Shrugging Doctor fucking tour be put into place, and we get you down in the States, bro. I no longer call you a millionaire. It's gonna be a billionaire.
Let's hope so. One step at a time. I got to put in the work first. I'm not ready for it.
Trust the process, like we talked about.
Exactly. So thanks for listening, everybody. Alcohol Beyond This Point on Instagram. Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast on Facebook. Tyler's here as well, I think.
Yep.
And
Tyler, and to you, sir, thank you for the pleasant conversation, man. You've brought up some good points.
Yeah, man.
You've actually educated me on a lot that I didn't know about tonight too, and I greatly appreciate that. I'm all about learning. You asked at the beginning of the show, like one of my free time things, like what do I do aside from music? I just obsessively read knowledge articles. I am filled with useless facts. Like, did you know that? What is that big university over in England?
Harvard.
Umbridge? No, Harvard's in the United States. The other
Cambridge.
or something like that. Did you know that they're older than the Aztec Empire?
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say they're older than the Aztecs. Yeah.
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 Yep,
If you
like-
want to hear useless fucking facts, subscribe to this podcast, and we will not give you the answers, but we will cause you to ask questions.
Yeah, that's the best kind of podcast where if I have to look something up after it, you did your job.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next episode. Cheers.
Have a good
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.